Al's
No.
here, we can start. Oh, hold on. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting of Thursday, August 5th, 5:30 PM. Just going to get the legal stuff out of the way here. In the interest of government transparency with regards to deliberations and decisions made by the City Council and according to open meeting law, since this meeting was posted as a Zoom meeting, this meeting is recorded by audio and video and will be conducted by remote participation. Additionally, all votes taken by the City Council during this and future remote meetings will be by roll call. So, all right. Welcome, everybody. We might take a few things out of order just for the agenda ease of things. The first one we have is from the Planning Director requesting acceptance of a Climate Action and Resilience Plan grant. John, is Greg Catamatori planning on coming? Do you know?
I thought, yes, I thought Greg was going to be joining. So maybe if we can.
Yep. Okay, so we'll skip that. We'll go to number 3 since Jeremiah is here.
Yes. Thank you.
Memo from the Police Lieutenant for Community Impact Unit requesting acceptance of car seats from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts 2021 car seat distribution program with the value of $7,491.20. Welcome, Jeremiah.
Thank you, Melissa. Everybody else. So just briefly, this was a grant that I applied for through the state to receive approximately 92 car seats of different levels. It's no cost to the city, no match to the city, and we'll be providing these car seats to the public as well as installing them with our install technicians at the police department. We'll focus on lower income residents for these car seats, and it will not be advertised on social media. But when we see a family in need, we'll take care of them.
Great. Thank you so much. Who are the car seat installed technicians? Because you have to go to class for that, right?
Yeah, it's actually a very long class. I want to say it's either 40 hours or 80 hours. It's insane.
Oh.
So we only have 2. It's Officer Liakos, who works the day shift now, and Officer Vinny Adelphio, who works the midnight shift. And we just partnered with Children's Hospital and gave out 40 car seats, and they installed them all, and they were great. So this is just enhancing what we already do.
I remember when I had my niece for the first period of time in which I had to babysit her. I went to the back parking lot and I had to call up. I'm like, someone needs to come show me how to put this thing in because I could not figure it out for the life of me. So the services in the class are well worth it. Trust me, for people that are new to this and like trying to figure it out. It was crazy.
Yeah, you get right up in there and get in there like a little kid and jump on the seat and get it as tight as you can. And people don't understand too, when you get in a car accident, that car seat is no longer any good. So
Yeah, no, that's really important.
Yeah.
And since you guys are at 90% of the car accidents that happen in town, those observations and everything are very important. So, all right, any questions from the committee?
No.
Seeing none. All
Good
right,
stuff.
If you could show me how to install them too, that'd be help. I can't get my granddaughters in my car for the hell of it. I could try.
give us a call. We'll get it done for you.
yeah, they're really good. It's getting it out sometimes it's going to break a nail, for the record. So
We've had to cut them out sometimes. They go in so tight.
yeah. I drove around for probably a week before I could actually get it out of there. All right, I recommend Budget and Finance accept various, nope, I am on the wrong one, sorry. I recommend Budget and Finance accept under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A.5, a gift of tangible goods to the City of Gloucester Police Department Community Impact Unit from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts 2021 car seat distribution program for 91 car seats. Does that sound right? With the
92.
value of, but the motion says 91.
But Jeremiah said 92, but
I mean,
Then
that's
that's-
92. It's 91.
91. car seats with the value of $7,491.20, and I so move.
Second,
Further discussion? Thank you very much for going after this grant. We all appreciate it. Thank you for the Commonwealth for making this possible. Anything further? Roll call vote. Council Memhard,
yes.
Council McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Cox, yes, motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Have a great night.
There was nothing else on here that I need to cover, right, for the chief?
No,
Okay,
nope. We'll see you tomorrow at Sidewalk Bazaar, though.
yes, I'll be there. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Melissa,
Yes.
we have an attendee. That looks like a city number to me. Would that be someone that needs to get brought over? The 282-4100 number?
I'm not
They
seeing.
just hung up, so.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I try to monitor the list and usually I get a text message if somebody needs in, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a city number, that's all. They just
All right.
disconnected, so.
Okay. I think someone's trying to accidentally dial us, maybe. I don't know. Nobody wants to hear on purpose. Hi, Greg. Can't hear you. You're on mute.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
You guys are going like lightning. You already made it through motions.
Yeah, no, we skipped the first two.
Okay.
I mean, yes, we're that good, Greg.
Yep.
All right, so we're back to number 1, your grant.
Sure. So Greg Kedem-Torrey, Planning Director. So we've kind of been thinking about a project like this for a few years now. And MAPC was kind of in the process of developing kind of a methodology to kind of conduct this at the municipal level. And they have completed that. And so we had some discussions with them this past spring about moving forward with kind of doing, kind of a deep dive in terms of looking at almost the footprint of the community to come up with kind of goals and targets moving forward as towards a either reduction strategy or potentially, a real lofty goal in terms of trying to get to neutrality in terms of carbon emission. So, I know the mayor's office is asked, very often to try to, to sign on to campaigns with certain targets. And I think we really need to have an understanding of what it takes to get there before committing to something like, with time horizons of 2030 or 2050. So we applied to the MVP Action Grant Program to conduct, kind of a deep inventory of emissions and also then start to develop really strategies that are really workable strategies that people can utilize to try to get there, both on the municipal side as well as for residents. So I think it'd be a fairly, good learning experience for the public as well in terms of, what actions they might be able to take to participate and be a part of solutions. So this is, mostly going to fund time of MAPC staff as well as complemented by staff and community development and the Clean Energy Commission to conduct this over the next year. So the grant award also requires local match, which will some of that will come from staff time. And then we also have over the last several years created kind of a fund to try to support additional efforts moving forward, which John Dunn has identified that would be utilized for the cash match. So I can answer any other questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
Greg, is there any component of this that's education also?
A big part of this is outreach. So there are a number of organizations that are already kind of in place and kind of growing. There's the Cape Ann Climate Coalition, which is a little bit broader than just Gloucester. So we'll be utilizing primarily the Clean Energy Commission meeting forum, but we'll also be having public outreach as well.
All right, I just say that because I loved it when I saw like Beaman School a couple of years ago did the plastic water bottle count and analysis of how many water bottles are used and what it does. So I think it's
Yep.
great when it can get into the schools.
Yep.
Definitely. Councilmember Hart, any questions?
No question. Sounds good, Greg. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yes.
And I would
Congratulations.
also got to give a little kudos to Gemma Wilkins, our new staff planner. She put a lot of this grant together and did a great job.
Oh, good. Looking forward to meeting her soon. All right, no further questions. I'm gonna go ahead with a motion. I recommend that Budget and Finance accept under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, a state grant from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs for the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program grant in the amount of $69,890 to complete the project entitled Gloucester Climate Action and Resilience Plan. The purpose of this grant is to conduct an in-depth inventory of the city's contribution to greenhouse gas emissions and help develop goals, targets, and strategies for the community to reduce its impact. The minimum local match is 25% of total project costs using cash or in-kind contributions. The total match of $30,705 and 31% will comprise of a cash match of $19,685, funds of which will come from the Energy Stabilization Fund 7601 and $11,020 from staff in-kind hours. The grant period is through June 30th, 22, and I so move.
Second,
Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Councilmember Hart,
yes.
Council McCarthy,
Yes.
Councilor Cox, yes. Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to go back to planning board.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, have fun. Bye. All right, so item number 2, donation from the Veteran Service Director in the amount of $330. Everybody had a chance to review that. Are there any questions? No? Okay. Budget and Finance. I recommend Budget and Finance to accept various cash donations in the amount of $330 for the support of TPAN Veteran Services. And I so move.
Second,
Further discussion? Thank you to everybody that made a donation to the TPAN Veteran Service Organization. Roll call vote. Councilmember Hart,
and keep up the good work, Adam. Yes.
Councilor McCarthy,
Thank you, and yes.
Councilor Cox, yes. Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. All right. So item number 4. Supplemental appropriation from the CFO in the amount of $75,000 for Council on Aging improvements.
Right, so this is probably something we should have done a while ago, but we haven't just because there are so many other things going on. But there is a recognition that we really need to offer secondary power to the Council on Aging building. It does serve as both shelter in the winter and the summer. So providing power for air conditioning and heat, as well as lighting and other facilities within the building is important. So we costed out what the price would be to get a whole building generator, estimated to be $75,000 installed. And that's what we're bringing forward this evening.
Yes, I think this is long overdue. I agree. Where's the money coming from?
It's coming from the Building Maintenance Stabilization Fund,
Ah,
which
funny
is
you should
the
ask.
reason why that's there.
Sometimes I do ask these questions on purpose. All right, awesome. Anybody have any questions about this?
Sounds like
Any,
a great investment.
good. Counselor,
John, Are they putting it on the roof? I know that I was sat on a committee one time with that. That building is in the floodplain. Have they figured something out? Or are they still going on to the roof?
John, I don't really know for sure. I mean, you know, as you know, these things are fairly heavy pieces of equipment. And you do have to get to them at times. You know, so generally they're on a cycle where they will, you know, automatically turn on once every second or third week type of thing, just to make sure they work. But, you know, if you put it on the roof, certainly maintenance is going to be an issue. I agree with you that it could be, you know, a flooding issue, but, you know, to my way of thinking, it's better off on the ground than on the roof, but I don't make those decisions.
Okay, yeah, I knew that was an issue. That's why I had the question. That's why it can't be an official shelter, because it is in the floodplain, but it's needed and it is used as a shelter all the time, so.
Yes, yes.
It is
Does the
needed.
city have a shelter that's not in a flood zone?
Fuller School.
O'Malley,
I heard that, Scott.
This is the old Vincent's Cove, actually, so.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy for me to imagine if that building is flooded, that we have a whole host of other problems.
Yep.
Yeah, it would be interesting to learn the answer to that question prior to Tuesday. John, if you want to reach out to Mike and see if.
yeah, I
he's-
can give Mike a call. I'm sure they've
Yeah.
made arrangements to get it so it won't flood, but
Yeah. So, anything further from anybody?
No.
All right. I recommend the city council approve supplemental appropriation 22 SA2 in the amount of $75,000 from the building maintenance stabilization fund to the building maintenance stabilization fund, council on aging emergency generator, building improvements to install a natural gas-fired emergency generator at the Rose Baker Senior Center, and I so move.
Second,
Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Council Memhard,
yes.
Council McCarthy,
yes.
Council Cox, yes, motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, so the next item up is SA 3 in the amount of $88,049. Man, I wish you guys could just round.
We try and be precise, right, Kenny? That's what we do.
Oh, my
You know,
goodness.
you don't see any cents here though, right? It's to the,
True.
it's to the nearest
yes.
dollar.
No pennies.
Yes.
No pennies. So this is a two-parter. So the transfer is from the Capital Project Stabilization Fund, or the transfer is within the Capital Project Stabilization Fund. You know, the first part of this is $58,049 for improvements to the Fisherman's Memorial down on the boulevard. Most of that is granite work, replacing old granite, putting in new granite, new curved granite, granite benches. There's also going to be some bronze planters down there. And there may be some work if necessary for ADA compliance, but Mike doesn't think there's going to be anything necessary down there. So this is really just going to be an upgrade to the Fisherman's Memorial. Again, most of it is going to be taking out old granite and putting in new granite, kind of laying out a slightly different ground approach to it, but it's going to upgrade that area, particularly in light of the upcoming 400th anniversary.
I just have one question as far as why is it coming out of the Capital Project Stabilization Fund? I mean, individually, these items, when I think of a capital project, I think of a piece of heavy equipment or something like that, not park improvements.
Well, a capital project is anything that that requires capital, and it's not a building. I mean, we could have put it in a general stabilization fund, but we tend to, put, most of the stuff that we're doing out of stabilization funds will either happen out of the building stabilization fund, the Building Maintenance Stabilization Fund or this one. So, we're trying to be fairly consistent in that. I certainly don't want to, bond for this amount.
Yeah.
And, we put most of our free cash away in these stabilization funds each year. So this is the appropriate mechanism for coming up and funding these type of projects.
No, I would have thought it would have come out of general instead of capital. When I think of capital, I think of bigger, like one-time purchases. So that's just,
Well, yeah, again, this is pretty much
Yeah.
a one-time purchase. So, you do granite work, it should be there for 100 years.
hopefully. Okay.
All right. So the second piece of this is $30,000 to basically do design work and ADA accessibility work and some other things for the relocation of the Vietnam Vets Memorial, which is now located at the high school.
Yes.
I wasn't around at the time, but my understanding is that, it's now located in the back of the high school, which used to be the actual entrance to the high school. So the entrance was moved. This memorial is now located in the back. Very few people see it. And to be truthful, like a lot of places, the back of the building is not maintained as well as the front of the building where the entrance is. So we do want to move it again in anticipation of the 400th. There is some work that has to be done first. The location is going to be down somewhat adjacent to the tennis courts and the ball field. And there has to be some work done beforehand to make sure that there is correct design as well as ADA access to that site. None of us are getting younger, and many of those vets who would like to probably access that may very well need to be able to get there in wheelchairs or walkers or with canes. So we want to be cognizant of that. So this is really just the design work. And there is a desire on the Vietnam vets part to do some fundraising. I wish them all the luck in the world, but it may very well be that, they're just not going to be able to raise enough funds. So we may be back here once the project is costed out to cover whatever gap there may exist between their fundraising estimates and the actual cost of the relocation.
I definitely would not be opposed to seeing them come back. I do appreciate their efforts of trying to fundraise. I would like to see their efforts for fundraising go towards maintenance and flowers and that kind of upkeep, and just, memorializing those that we have lost as opposed to building the structure. I think I just feel like that's the city's responsibility. They've gotten it this far through fundraising, and I just think we can carry it the rest of the way. I do agree with the move on this. When it was installed, our world was definitely different. These memorials are around for people to pay their respects. And now at the back door of a school, when we have so much school violence and, we're really keeping an eye on kids and, just having random people show up at a school is not the best environment for anybody anymore. And we certainly don't want to interrupt somebody paying their respects with questions. Who are you? What are you doing here? But, it's a double-edged sword because we have to protect the kids too. So I am very much in favor of moving this to a more public location and appreciate the thoughts that have been going into this as far as making it ADA compliant and so on and so on. So accessible, public, I think those are definitely key words there. As far as the other improvements, getting ready for the 400th, I think that's also really important that the city is getting behind it and starting to plan on these things. I do want to recognize a few people that are participating in the call tonight. Mrs. Marr, Miss Curley, and Mrs. Pino that are with us. I know that they have family members that are being affected by this. So welcome, and please know you have my support. I don't speak for the other committee members, so I'm sure they will speak up. And anybody have any questions or anything to say on this one? Scott?
I'm very glad that we're taking this step and making these plans, and I hope we collaborate closely with the community of Vietnam veterans in Gloucester. It's been a long sore point about recognizing that community of loyal veterans, and the history and the current location and our annual celebration and marking it where it is now has been problematic and difficult to incorporate into the community. So this sounds like a great step forward, recognizing them and being able to celebrate their contribution in this Vietnam War going forward.
Counselor?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said so far. I think the original intent was great, that they wanted it at the school where these young people left their school and went to war. However, the world changed, and you know something, it's going to be in a good area now, down on the boulevard, right across from the World War II Memorial, and the Korean Memorial isn't very far away. So I think it'll be great that that they're all down there in the boulevard area, and I support this 100%.
Great, thank you. All right. Everybody's good, no more questions. The only thing that I would like to add is, you know, I know we want to make it ADA compliant. We want to do this design work, but as CFO Dunn said, none of us are getting younger. So if we could please move this along and make it a priority so it can be moved quickly. I know these guys have been working on it for a very long time. So I just don't want to see more delays and more loss before we can see this finalized. All right, I'm going to go in with a motion. I recommend the City Council approve supplemental appropriation 2022 SA 3 in the amount of $88,049 from the Capital Project Stabilization Fund to the Capital Project Stabilization Fund DPW Boulevard Stage Fort site improvements for improvements at the Fisherman's Memorial, Stage Fort Park, and design work for the Vietnam War Memorial relocation, and I so move.
Second,
Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Counselor Memhard,
yes.
Counselor McCarthy,
Yes, and thank you for attending, Amanda and Paula and Ruth.
yes. I was in a roll call, right? Counselor
You.
Cox, yes. Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, that is it for our regularly scheduled meeting. I know, does anybody have anything else that they want to discuss tonight? Counselor McCarthy.
Yes, at our last meeting, and John, this really, you're the only one here. I don't see anybody from the mayor's office here tonight, but maybe Sherry could forward this to them tomorrow. But Scott asked, Councilman had asked for an update in the investigation regarding cupcakes with the city council and the cost a couple of weeks ago. And we were provided that this week,
Thank you.
probably by you, John, and I thank you. I just find the amount of money unbelievable for what we're looking at. And I have questions on this. I want to know who's directing this investigation, who's authorizing this spending. What authority are they even investigating elected officials under? You know, the elected officials are really not employees except by the IRS considers them employees. The best definition I found today was elected officials are considered responsible to the public, which have the power to vote them out of office. I don't know why this is being conducted. This should be a public incident. It happened at a public meeting. It's on a recording. Subsequent things went out over social media, which were viewable to the public. I want to know where the report is. I this started in the beginning of March. We've already paid, the city's already paid almost $13,500. I want an update on this. And John, I'm sorry you're the only one here, but maybe we can send this along, Sherry, to the mayor's office. And it's just unbelievable to me that this has happened and that we've spent this kind of taxpayers' money on this. And I think this committee is charged with spending the dollars or authorizing the dollars to be spent. And I take that very seriously. And I really want some answers into this. And it's not directed to you, John. It's directed to whoever's authorizing this and why this is taking so long. We spent $13,000 and we've already paid these invoices. Why don't we have a report in hand? The council has a right to this report. It's about the council, and I want some action on this. And like I say, John, this isn't directed towards you. It's a bigger picture than that. So thank you very much for supplying the numbers to this committee, and hopefully we can get some answers this coming week to the council.
So I do have one update on that. I did talk to Holly Dugwillow, the HR director. She has been in communication with the person that did the investigation, and that person did tell her that the report would be done at the end of July. We are now 5 days into August. We have no report. I know that there's going to be another invoice out there for July's research. So I am asking the CFO to hold off payment on any further invoices until that report is delivered. I don't believe I have any authority to do that. I'm just asking in regards to what I would do in a private business if I had not received the final goods. I certainly wouldn't pay the final invoice. So I know it probably doesn't work like that in municipal life, but throwing it out there.
Well,
Councilor Memhard.
I agree with everything that John has said and Melissa here. I'm quite concerned about this, and I'm really at a loss as to how this investigation is being managed and what the defined scope of responsibility for the investigation. What end is in place, what limits are to the scope of her work on this is, who's managing the project effectively. And it seems like somehow a relatively innocent interchange between counselors that was in a public meeting has spun out of control. It's created, frankly, it's embarrassing. And then this is compounding the embarrassment with the formal investigation, again, of which the scope is apparently more widely ranging than any of us, I think, might have originally expected or anticipated. So how is the scope of her investigation and the work being managed? And again, what is the anticipated outcome or consequence of this? How are we benefiting from this process, and what is the end result? I think it's a lot of very important questions that need to be answered on behalf of our taxpayers. And as Budget and Finance Committee, it comes to us at this point to ask these questions, as they're not being asked otherwise.
Well, I am sorry that I'm the only one here, and I must admit that I have stayed as far away from this particular issue as I can. But I will endeavor to address your issues with the mayor's office and HR.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Thank you, John. Does anybody have anything further? John, do you happen to know where the current bills, the two that were prior that have been paid, where they were paid out of, off the top of your head, because you just keep that information?
I presume that they came out of either HR or legal. HR doesn't really have that amount of budget flexibility, so I think they came out of legal, but I will also get that answer.
That would
Thank
be
you.
one other thing, John. As you know, we had a large discussion on it about the administration bringing a lawyer on full-time and reorganizing those departments. And why did we go outside, I guess, would be another question I might want to pass on here. We had an attorney that we were told was going to supplement personnel. And obviously we went outside. We actually went out of state to hire this law firm to do this. And I don't know why. And I want to know why.
Council McCarthy, I think for ease of getting you the proper answers to your questions, if you could write them out and send them to Sherry, so the clerk's office can disseminate those to the proper areas. Maybe copy John on them, just so Sherry has exactly what you're trying to ask.
I certainly can do that. And like I said, my reason for bringing it up is we had brought it up last meeting and we were supplied the invoices, which led to more questions. So I'm disappointed that we didn't have someone on from the administration, and I certainly respect John that this wasn't directed towards you. You just happen to be the only city staffer on here.
No, and that's, I take no offense. And in fact, Chris was planning on being in the meeting. He came up with a conflict, wanted to make sure that I was going to be here because he had to go and be someplace else. But again, if you can just, let us know what you want, we'll get you the answers.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. And Counselor, I'm sure the reason why there isn't anybody from the mayor's office on the call is that there is an event down at the Fisherman's Wives Memorial this evening. So that is probably where they are. So, all right. Does anybody have anything? Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to recognize that Councillor Gilman is on the call with us, and I don't know if she was interested in speaking on this, if you'd like to give her that opportunity.
Yes, I'm so sorry about that, Counselor. I think I said your name earlier in the call, but I'm not sure. Sorry. You're on mute.
Just wanted to listen in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Counselor Memhard,
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy,
Yes.
Counselor Cox, yes. Thank you all for a very good meeting once again. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Madam
night.
Chair.
Have a good night. Good night, Sherry.
Night.